is Sunday, May 26, 2019, the sixth Sunday of Easter. So today being a Sunday, it's going to be another full day. But you know what? It's always a pleasure working with the people of God and trying to inspire them to draw ever closer to Christ. So with yesterday talking about the saints in particular, it's actually got me thinking. The illogic of the world is probably at an all-time high. There are just illogical things that people take as truth or as good. And it's these things, I believe, that are going to make it that much more difficult to be that holy person. You can pick up newspapers all the time and find examples of such illogical thinking. Now, I saw a disturbing thing on Facebook this morning. I have not yet been able to verify it, but apparently the New York Times had some sort of an op-ed with a headline that said that pregnancy kills, but abortion saves lives. That would be really, really wacky. But it is further demonstration as to why it's so hard to live the faith in this age of relativism. The dictatorship of relativism would actually say that that is accurate. And it's this kind of illogic that's not just limited to the news outlets. It's in our universities, our schools, our public square. It's on the social media. There are so many people who just have not really been logical in their approach to reality. Yet we have to be a people of truth. And thus I believe one of the things that truly distinguish a saint or a holy person from others is their appreciation of something greater, and that greater is truth. I kind of remember my own encounter with truth, that moment when I realized that there is more reality than just what meets the eye. Now, when I make that reference, I'm not talking specifically about my conversion experience, which put me on a path. And I'm not talking specifically about education per se, because by that point I had already had my master's in divinity. I'm certainly not talking about the grace of holy orders, which I'd been a priest for some time at that point. Even though our relationship to the truth is something that is implicit and within us at all times, it's not something that's always obvious. Probably the only thing that really worked in my favor over the years was that I am a very logical person, a very mathematical person. See, where a lot of that fell short for me is that not all things are mathematical, not all things fit into that same pattern of logic, and it's reason that does help, but the human package is so much more complex than just a mere formula. And so again, as I said the other day, we have to start becoming a lot more appreciative of something greater than ourselves.
What is truth? That exactly can you point out that it is?
One of the things that I think we really need to recover in the church today is a proper understanding of the doctrine of concomitance.
Concomitance? No.
What does the word concomitance mean?
I have no idea.
With comitance?
Robin said that in one of the episodes of the early Batmans.
Concomitance.
No idea. I have no idea, actually.
When I first came here to Blessed Sacrament nearly 10 years ago, one of the first things that had happened was there was an outbreak of the swine flu, and we all received directives to suspend the distribution of the precious blood. There were a lot of people who didn't understand and didn't want it to happen, but it was for health and safety reasons. Now, mind you, the American church had been distributing under both species a lot for a long time. I was one of those people that lived through that era of the 70s and the 80s when a lot of these changes were happening. Now, the reason that I mention any of this at all, because so many people have walked up to me and said that they want both species because they feel they're being cheated of something. One person did use the word deprived. I'm being deprived of the precious blood. And the general instruction did specifically say that pastors should be aware and make their people aware of the doctrine of concomitance given us by Thomas Aquinas. Basically, there had been some theological debate over the nature of the Eucharist. Is the bread that turns into the body alone? Is the wine that's turned into the blood alone? And in this regard, any debate over whether or not a person had to receive the fullness of body, blood, soul, and divinity could be settled, because if you received just the precious body, you received the fullness, body, blood, soul, and divinity, and you received all the graces necessary for salvation.
But I think it's the same thing regardless if you don't receive the body and if you don't receive the blood of Jesus, that doesn't mean you're being like gypped out of the whole. It's just understanding that Jesus is now in you and hopefully you carry out his teachings.
Change of the form and matter. That reality itself, it is changing because the body and the blood of the wine and bread is transformed into the body and the blood of Jesus Christ.
The Eucharist is the most important part of the whole Mass. Not receiving it, but seeing the transformation of bread and wine into the body and blood of Christ.
Substance, okay, there is a substance in every being.
Okay, but still, what is that substance? What does substance mean? What is a transubstantiation of it?
We use words like substance, or in its origin, that which stands under something. In a metaphysical or ontological sense, it's what is in its being. It's what it is in its, without its accidents and without what it looks like. When we talk about transubstantiation, which was a big, huge debate, especially with the Protestants, the bread no longer exists. The substance of bread no longer exists. The substance of wine, which is that which stands under, no longer exists. Its substance is what changed into the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ. Not its form. Its form remains. You go to college?
Yes, I do.
Did you take any philosophy classes?
No, I did not.
What level of college are you in?
I'm a junior in college.
How many credits of philosophy have you had to take?
9 so far.
Do you know what the word transubstantiation means?
No!
Transubstantiation. Isn't it? I actually forgot.
I want to pick the right word. When it's being so what's the word? Transubstantiation.
I know that one. That's the one I teach all the second graders because they can't even pronounce it. It's the one where the bread and the wine become the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ.
When we'll use this word as transubstantiation, or we are taking some other classes, usually we will use it, and we should use the word transubstantiation. There is no doubt in that.
I have to admit sometimes these things go in directions that I never anticipated, and this is a good one. This is a real good one. All right, it's time for me to go out and say Holy Mass. I'm going to bring your intentions with me today. May God give you his peace. He's back. He's got his little duck toy.
I heard that they needed someone to snuggle with. He's doing okay. I'm not a veterinarian or anything, so I gotta learn all this stuff on Google. Google is my best friend.
Dr. Google, paging Dr. Google.
He got all bird food all over his face.